At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture. And Candice, at long last, you just made your writing debut on Slate.com.
That's right. I was really inspired by your knitting piece. Once again, congratulations. And I said, I have to get my hands in this pot.
Yes.
That's right. I was really inspired to write a piece. It's called Catfish Taught Me How to Be a Journalist, and it's basically about this show on MTV that just got canceled after 9 seasons, 12 years. First off, Kate, do you even know what the show is? Have you heard of it?
Oh, I think anyone who was growing up online during a certain era has certainly heard of Catfish. I feel like it was one of the first times we really saw the internet appearing like on our TVs, and it was like, oh, how crazy is this? But I was busy living on God's internet. I did not watch this show. I think for many reasons, the main one being I didn't want all the teachers and parents telling me, oh, you don't know who you're talking to online, to be vindicated. Like, I wanted to keep talking to my friends online. So yeah, I never watched Catfish, but I feel like defining show, even though I never watched it.
Yeah, the way that chefs watch The Bear, you watch Catfish, which is you don't. It's triggering. Too close to home.
Too triggering for me.
Look, I'm not surprised the show got canceled because this is a show about using, internet search tools to find out if you're being scammed. And, when it first came out, very useful. The thing is, you watch 2 episodes, you can use the same tools yourself. So I'm just not surprised that at some point it had to go away. However, I will miss it. I will mourn it. Hence, I must talk about it. And so I really want to get into it. Let's take a break. When we come back, how Catfish documented one of the messiest ages of the internet and why its cancellation doesn't mark the end of its purpose. This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game, shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can be a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states. This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue makes it easy to get creative with your personal style and find the best arrivals for fall. I love going through Saks.com because it is so easy to find new arrivals from my favorite designers, and I get a lot of inspiration for my personal style. With fall coming up, I think it's time for reinvention. I think it's time for a wardrobe refresh. So I've been going on Saks.com because I have my eye on a few Jenny Kane sweaters, and thank God they have them all in stock. But that's my experience with Saks.com. There's so much more to explore based on your personal style and what you're looking for. So this fall, whether you're trying out the latest fashion trends or curating a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. Whether it's a date night, a vacation, a special occasion, or just lounging in style, Saks helps you find the perfect look for every occasion. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day.
Hey there! If you are a regular listener who enjoys ICYMI, it would mean the world if you gave us a 5-star rating or review on Apple or Spotify. Every episode of ICYMI is different, from learning about the latest drama on R knitting to tackling the death of free speech online. Sometimes that means our episodes can become part of those stories, resulting in negative reviews from people who aren't actually listeners of the show. That's why it's so important for the real ICYMI heads to be represented in these ratings. If that's you, it would be great if you could show us some love. All right, back to the episode.
And we're back. And Kate, even though you've never seen an episode of Catfish, I do have to ask, have you ever had a catfishing experience?
I myself, to my knowledge, have never been catfished.
Okay.
But I must admit, I have done catfishing myself. I have catfished a few men, not even men.
Wow. I'm Neve Schulman. Come in.
My catfish career, it was short-lived. It was just one afternoon with a friend on AIM, and we decided to, this was probably, I don't know, I was probably like 13, 14. And my friend and I decided to make a new AIM account that we were going to use to talk to boys in our school and see if we could like convince them to flirt with this girl who we were claiming went to another school, Classique. The name of the account, because we wanted to be seductive, we wanted to be, you know, enticing to these gentlemen, was Foxy Girl And the is necessary.
Necessary. Very necessary. Yeah.
So Foxy Girl she was DMing pretty much every boy's handle that we could get our little paws on. Unfortunately, we did not know that many boys.
Right.
And so I would say the middle school theater community was the one most affected by this little stunt we pulled. And so we would sort of DM boys in that very specific social scene, and I'm sorry to say right now, not a single one bought it. No one. I did catfishing, but not successfully. No one I spoke to was catfished. They immediately were like, "This is someone I know for sure." But what about you? I could see you having more success being sneaky.
Wow. First off, thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to confront who you were. Yeah, so here's the deal. I'm on the other side of the table.
Wow.
I was catfished on MileyWorld.com.
How does one wait, I have so many different possibilities just ran through my head. Like, were you catfished by someone claiming to be Miley?
Here's the story.
I don't like that pause, Candice.
I know. Pregnant. She's pregnant. Okay, here's the deal.
Pause.
Here's the deal. Kind of in my Club Penguin phase. I'm 12. I have an iBook G4. I am unstoppable. I am addicted, obsessed with Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana. Miley opens this like website fan club. I really think the best like analogy is like what Dua Lipa's doing with Service 95. But like it was this website called MileyWorld.com. You could post things, listen to her music. She would allegedly write letters to us, and we could chat with each other in these chat rooms. Now, one thing I should note. Every single day, front page of this website, there is kind of this sidebar called Fan of the Day, and it's like, you know, username of like Jenny92 with like a photo and whatever. It's a spotlight, right? Changes every day. All I wanted in this little life was to be fan of the day. And so I don't really know how this happens, but one day I'm like in one of these little chat rooms talking about one of Miley's new albums or something. And this girl named Mandy kind of slides into my DMs. And the thing about Mandy is that Mandy is actually Miley's best friend in real life. They have this YouTube show called Miley and Mandy. They get into a beef with Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, iconique. Anyway, this person is deciding to claim to me that they are the Mandy who was the best friend of Miley Cyrus. And I go like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, how'd you meet? Ha, 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 ha. Are you hanging out right now? All this dumb stuff. At some point, I voice my ambitions as a young woman. And I say, it would be so cool if I could be fan of the day. And she goes, you can. Tomorrow. And I went, Oh my God, that's so nice. And let me stop by just saying, parents listening, don't worry. Don't worry. I was not taken. I was not exchanging Venmos. No money left my hands into someone else's. And I'll just say it, no JPEGs were exchanged either. Okay. But I was too seducted. I was too seducted by the idea of being fan of the day. And so I wake up the next morning. Here's where life gets a little crazy. No, that's not true. Here's where I become flop. I wake up the next day and I have a packed schedule. All right, I have school, I have basketball practice, I have a basketball game at Mama's Down. I forget to check MileyWorld.com the next day. And so here's the thing. I will never, ever know if I was fan of the day. But if I had to take bets, I'm going to say this person was not Mandy and I was not fan of the day. So, yeah.
Wow. Dash dreams. And I'm realizing this Mandy story is ringing some bells for me. I don't know if we brought it up in an earlier episode or if
probably
you told it to me in confidence elsewhere. But either way, I'm thankful for you for coming to the table, as we said, to give your story fully because it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable out there. And here's the thing. Would you have fallen for Foxy Girl? Uh-huh. Come on, Candice, I need a win.
What's the opening line, babes? What's the opening line?
Opening line is like, hey, and 3 Ys.
Oh, you know what? Okay, channeling myself as a boy. Let's say my name's Trevor. Absolutely. 3 heys. I'm hitting you with 4. Anyway, look. It's really funny that you've never seen Catfish the show, but the thing is, you know what this is like. Because catfish as a term is pretty fundamental in internet culture. I think this goes all the way back to 2010. Catfish actually started as this documentary. It starred Neve Schulman, and it was this mix of like the Blair Witch Project, searching, handheld documentary filmmaking, and it was directed by Neve's brother and Henry Joost. This documentary was about Neve Schulman himself. It was about his heartbreaking journey because he fell in love with this girl online, and they were in this relationship, thousands of messages, phone calls, paintings sent back and forth, but they never met. And what really, really, really sucks is, they decide to travel to Michigan to find this woman. And what they find out is that she is not who she says she is. Instead, he has been falling in love with a 39-year-old mother in Michigan. She's a painter. She created like 17 other Facebook profiles to basically like create this life of characters to sell to Neve, just Neve.
Whoa.
And it was so elaborate, but honestly, it is also just so heartbreaking because like he really fell for her. And you could make the argument she kind of fell for him too.
That's crazy. Well, one, I did not know that Neve was the host of this show because he himself was Catfish and that's what launched him.
Yes.
I kind of didn't question even where he came from. But then the dedication, all those profiles. I mean, that is like world building. That's storytelling. I can't help but be impressed. But so it was a documentary. And then from there, was it turned into a TV show?
Yes. So basically, after the documentary comes out, Neve gets a million emails. He gets a ton of emails from people being like, this happened to me too. And from there, it's not just his story of getting catfished. It is this phenomenon of a lot of people getting catfished online.
Oh, so he really like lifted the veil on this whole kind of phenomenon.
Totally. And the thing is like, I don't know, when they were making the film, catfish wasn't really a term until once they finally confronted Angela, the real woman. Her husband is actually the one who compared her behavior to a catfish. They named the documentary that. That becomes a term. Now we have the show on MTV, which started in 2012. Neve hosts it. His job is to basically like help people who think they're getting catfish, like meet their person. And he does it with his co-host, Max Joseph. He's a filmmaker.
And you grew up watching this.
It was my Charlie Rose.
Like, wait, how old were you when you first started watching these stories?
Let's see. Not me doing the math. 2012, 13 minus me, probably 15 years old. Yeah, I was 15 years old. I was in high school. I was obsessed with this show because, look, I was given my first laptop at like 8 years old, which, by the way, too young. Bad idea. Don't do it, my friends. But my school, my parents, they had a very like abstinence-only approach to the internet in terms of how to protect myself, which is just like, don't use it. And that is so unrealistic. There are a lot of things in life that are unrealistic in that way. However, I'm 15. I've had some dabbles on the internet. Thankfully, haven't been caught in some scams yet. But then I watched Catfish and I'm like, oh, I didn't know people could do that. I didn't know people did that, as in trick people online to make them fall in love. And I would say Catfish then kind of just became this like crash course, this master class in how to protect myself online. And I would say it did parlay into me being like a journalist because every episode, they basically do the same like 5 steps of like reverse image searching, reverse phone lookups. They call universities that like these catfish claim they went to, being like, did this person actually go here? And in my head, I was like, these are tools. I will use them. I was doing the same things, but I was also doing stuff of like looking up my high school teachers' addresses just for fun. And truly, it was not that I was trying to catfish people or that I was under threat. I just felt like as a kid, you know, you're just kind of condescended to all the time by like your teachers and your parents. And then you have the internet, which kind of gives you this access, this bridge to information you never had before. And in a weird way, I was like, I think this is my only power, which is just accessing information just because I can and I want to, even if I do nothing with it, you know?
Interesting. Okay, so Catfish empowered you.
Yeah.
Who are the type of people you would do this investigating on? Like, were you ever worried you were being catfished and so you went and like did your own due diligence? For instance, Mandy.
You know, and I mean, the saddest thing about the Mandy story is that probably the best thing. We never exchanged a phone number or an email, right? Because if we had exchanged an email, that would have been pretty traceable. A phone number, extremely traceable, right? Area code, I could probably find who opened that phone number, all that stuff. No, but I think what it was is like as a 15-year-old who I would say kind of grew up like pretty sheltered, but also had access to the internet, like Catfish as a TV show was just really intriguing, and it also kind of gave me this peek into like, this is how I use the internet. How do adults use the internet? Oh, they're on Facebook finding love and like friending people they've never met before. I only know people I went to school with. What is that like? Kind of exploring those little ways of connection that really did not exist within my community, which was already so small, you know?
And I think that's something I always remember from growing up and hearing the term catfish and, you know, being told in like these scare quotes to look out for who I see online. I felt that I actually had more of an awareness and better discernment about who I was talking to online and whether or not they were dangerous just by nature of like having grown up and being more literate in how these online spaces works and when someone's being shady. Would you say that this made you feel similarly empowered, like when your parents were like, no, don't be online? Like, were you like, no, like I know more about this than you do, thanks not only to growing up online, but one Mr. Neve Schulman?
I think so, because I think as a parent, which I'm not, I think it is pretty easy to see something as scary, dangerous, as the internet and just be like, shut it all down, no laptops, no computers, nothing. But in my head, I was like, I have to use this. And whether it's looking up Wikipedia stuff or like going on Club Penguin, there is a future unto which this is part of my life. If I had the tools and the guardrails to know how to protect myself, I think you could trust me on this. And I think I could like safely navigate this. And I do think that Catfish kind of gave me these like backhand tools, these back end ways of being like, look, if for some reason someone on Facebook is trying to like fall in love with you, I got you. And let's figure this out. And basically, let's do everything we can without having to call MTV and be like on an episode of Catfish, which, by the way, was my biggest fear for a few years there. My biggest fear is that one day I would get an email from neveschulman@gmail.com being like, would love to ask about your relationship with X. And so in a weird way, it also prevented me from like tricking other people because I just really didn't want to go on the show, you know?
you never want to be made an example. But then you take these tools, you use them, you grow up with them, and now you are older, wiser, and maybe we don't need Catfish anymore, you know? Maybe that's why it's canceled. You know, catfishing is solved. It's not a problem anymore. Is that the truth?
Yes and no. And we should get into it. So let's take a break. When we come back, what a post-Catfish world looks like.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today? Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices, and that's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies, so you can save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. And Candice, we were just talking about how in many ways catfishing as a term is kind of dated back in that 2010 era when online was still very new. We know a lot more about how the internet works now, but a lot of the underlying themes of catfishing and why it happens still remain.
Yeah. I think even though some of the tools of catfishing, for example, a lot of these people meet on Facebook. Hey. The only person I'm meeting on Facebook is Marketplace to buy a sofa. Anyway, even though a lot of the tools that are used in catfish to, suss out some suspicious people have kind of gone by the wayside, something I have noticed from crushing 9 seasons of tape on this show is that a lot of the catfish who prey on victims, their whole thing is that they are really actively engaged in online fantasy world building. And all this means is that they have created these personas, these profiles, these people online that are so different from who they are. And this could be a different gender. This could be they're richer, taller, more good looking than me. This could be in real life, I feel unsafe exploring things about myself, like my sexuality. What if I went online and pursued who I really wanted to be if I could look the way I wanted to be and have the confidence of that person? That is a very common theme in all these episodes. And when I think about that, I'm like, that's not going anywhere. Catfish the show can feel a little nostalgic, but that idea of I'm using the internet to empower a version of myself that I cannot acquire in real life, I have felt that. A lot of people turn to the internet and do that for that reason. I think the way it's transferred to 2025 though, sometimes scarier. For example, I do think that ChatGPT, right? You and I have been reading so many stories about people falling in love with ChatGPT chatbots. It's kind of the same concept, but the difference is that, on Catfish, the TV show, the interactions are happening between two people. Yes, they may be lying about who they are. Yes, there is this kind of nefarious edge to it of you are absolutely manipulating someone into a lie. I think the difference now is that we are now turning to non-humans, chat bots, people who robots and machines that are trained to not push back on us, but instead be mirrors of us. We are using them to world build, to build these fantasies. And that is scary. That is also not a great show. So to me, I understand why it got canceled.
Well, it's one of the things about the internet is that so much of it does seem built to cater to the exact impulse that, drives catfishing, which is, like you said, a desire to be a different, slightly, quote unquote, better version of yourself. And there's many ways to do that. And maybe back in a sort of more rudimentary time, it was here's a profile of a person I'm not, but who I could be. But now it's okay, I can actually put a filter on myself, or I can, use AI to change my body. be. There's so many more tools out there to sort of present yourself online in a way that either feels more aligned with how you are or with how you would like to be. And one of the things I think that doesn't lend itself to catfishing is we've been online now, some of us. I mean, I've been online for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so in order for someone to catfish authentically in 2025, they would need to sort of create 25 years worth of digital footprint. And I mean, if anyone could do it, it definitely would have been Angela, who made 17 fake Facebook profiles.
Yeah.
But I would say that that's so much of our lives are online, and so much of what we do online is already about presenting the best version of ourselves. It's an entirely different environment, and one where it's a lot, not only more difficult to catfish, but the motivations behind it, you can achieve that a different way without, potentially ruining someone's life.
Yeah. And I think a question that I've kind of been trying to ask is like, is it that the show has changed, or is it that the internet has changed so much that the show can't really catch up with it, right? Because, for example, I mean, could we get catfish today? I guess, but like probably not like they did in season 1, where some of the screenshots these people use of Facebook Messenger are from an iOS from like really, really, really way back. And like Catfish premiered post-online dating, but there was still a stigma. And it premiered pre-dating apps like Tinder and Grindr and Hinge, right? And now that we're so fermented in dating app culture, there are just so many like subreddit threads, TikTok accounts. There are books dedicated on how to spot a fake profile online. We have the tools.
We also have like crowdsourcing techniques dedicated to this type of thing. Like, are we dating the same guy? Or like
totally
T-app, never forget. Like there's a lot more tools out there.
T-app.
Probably inspired by a lot of the behavior that Catfish originally documented.
I think so. And on top of that, in 2025, meeting someone from the internet is less stigmatized. I would say maybe less dangerous. There's still definitely elements of danger, but you're just seeing it a little more often, right? So this is first date off Hinge. This is, I met a girl on the Reddit and we're like friends now. Or this is literally even like Facebook Marketplace. The amount of people who meet up in a Walmart parking lot to exchange a pillow would make Neve Schulman cry.
Oh my God, literally last night, my husband was meeting someone from Facebook Marketplace to sell a bike. all went well, thank God. But no, I know what you mean. And one of the things I think about, too, is we all now would believe ourselves to be above falling for a catfish. And I think in many ways that's a safe bet, only because catfishing as it was originally defined was when the internet was more rudimentary. And so to fall for some of these personas and to not think of doing the due diligence that the show has now taught us, that requires someone who's kind of new to the internet or naive about the internet, as we kind of all were. Now, the people who are naive about the internet are not young. I would say the younger you are, like there are people 10 years younger than me who know about phrases and ways of using the internet that I will never find on my own. Like the younger you are, the more savvy you are, which leaves a whole different group being susceptible to catfishing right now, which is often those who are older.
Exactly. I mean, how many times have you and I like been shown a photo from one of our parents and they're like, this is so cute. And you're like, Mom, that's an AI giraffe.
Right. That's an AI or that text you got from a job recruiter. Shout out the piece on Slate. That text you got from someone claiming to be like a working at like Pennsylvania toll booths saying you owe a toll. That's not real. All like these things that come into our, into our literal phones or voicemails that people leave that we just instinctively are like, oh, that's not real. I don't need to respond to this. We only have that knowledge because of being raised online. But someone who is coming to this from a less savvy background, they could easily fall for this. And for this show to, I think, still continue in a meaningful way, that's who it would need to focus on. And I don't know, I think a big reason why I didn't watch it in the first place was that there was kind of an inherent sadness to this idea that you fell in love and it's not real. I definitely couldn't handle the sadness that would come from the way that senior citizens would be taken advantage of using these same tools.
Yeah, which is a good point, right? Even though I keep saying that it makes sense the show's canceled, we don't need these tools anymore, I do think it is interesting that it was canceled in a year when scams are just getting more advanced than ever, right? Because, hey, I have fallen for a text message scam this year. However, I didn't click any links. It's just that I thought it was a real person asking to come to their party. I find out, no party. Still hurts.
No party. Was it Mandy again?
Oh, his name was Todd. Anyway. No, but another, for example, I was reading this article about, AI voice cloning and how there was a person in LA who got this scam call from someone, sounding like their son or really pretending to be their son. They end up extorting them for money. But this is one of those stories that makes you think, this is horrible. This is insidious. However, I really don't know if Neve Schulman could tackle this. I really don't know if they have the bandwidth to fix something as prevalent and invasive and crazy, rapidly, fastly improving as that.
Well, that's the thing. When you watch Catfish as a 15-year-old, the episodes gave you tools for how to combat this. And I don't think we know now how do we combat something like voice cloning, which I've also seen people on TikTok coming with similar stories. They receive calls from a voice that sounds like their loved one in distress. They immediately believe it. And usually it's asking them for money or details. And I actually told my parents about this. And I was like, if you ever get that, because what you're supposed to do, hang up, then call me directly. Because, my voice is out there on a podcast. And I see these things and I get worried. And I don't want Catfish 2.0 to be profiling my parents. I couldn't handle it.
Oh, that's so true. And I think the other thing, the reason why I actually sometimes bristle against this idea of catfishing as a scam is because when we talk about scams colloquially, right, they are usually asking for money. They're asking, click this link, input your credit card, right? The thing about Catfish as a TV show, as a concept, is that these people were usually never asking for money. They were asking for connection and love and someone to respond to them and ask them how their day was. That was the currency they were trying to trade, sell, buy. And in a weird way, this emotional scam is almost more heartbreaking than if there was money exchange, because at least with money as a scam, it is very obvious what you lost. When you go on Catfish and you do all this work and you find out that the person you've been talking to for 3, 4, 5 years on the phone is not who you think you are, there are a lot of episodes where those victims say to camera, the person I fell in love with is dead. And there is just this resonant sinking in your stomach of this isn't funny. This isn't funny anymore. To the point where when Catfish first came out, there were questions of is this exploitative? Is this emotionally manipulative? But I think what Catfish really was trying to do was to show you that sometimes you just need the answer. Sometimes the answer is what you're actually searching for to end the charade. And that is scary. The internet is scary. But wouldn't you at least know? Then allow yourself to live in a fantasy that you one day find out is not real. And that is where Neve Schulman comes in. And you are the Neve Schulman of your parents. Congrats.
That's why I could never really get into the show. It's too sad. But, the show itself is sad. One thing I do know, even from not watching it, this is how prevalent it was, it birthed a good number of memes.
Yes. I wonder if you've seen this one where it's the guy being I'm not gay, and Neve Schulman's you talk to men online, so you are. And he goes, you got me there.
I'm going to take a stab at this.
Sure.
You're gay.
Obviously, I'm not gay.
Well, it's not so obvious. I mean, you are pretending to be a girl online and having a romantic relationship with a guy, so...
I give it to you. You got me there.
Right.
So, maybe.
I have definitely seen that one. I think I've seen it in sort of
amazing,
comic panel form. It gets me every time. I love it.
Yes. And so that's a very iconic one. However, I have to bring in one of the best memes, okay, to come from this show. It is season 3. This is an episode about someone named Antoine. Antoine, he's in this phone call only relationship with a man named Tony. And what this means is they've never really exchanged photos. They've never had a Facebook interaction, just phone call. And Antoine's cousin, Carmen, she submits him to Catfish the show because she's worried. She's like, Tony, he's lying about who he is. And the clip we're going to play, it is toward the end of their exhausted exhaustive search, Neve Schulman is knocking door to door to door asking for Tony. Carmen, the cousin, she comes along for moral support. And this is how we finally find out who Tony is.
Well, let's get it back in the car.
All right.
I don't want to get back in the car. Because I'm going to find something.
We're trying everything we can.
Twan, the reason why you fucking stupid idiot can never find who Tony is because I'm Tony.
What's going on?
Why the fuck would you do that? Because.
Bring my fucking years off, because that shit ain't cool.
You should have never called me a fat-ass Kelly Price.
That's beautiful. I mean, that is beautiful revenge. I am jealous.
Whew. Have you seen this before, by the way? This meme of like, you should have never called me a fat-ass Kelly Price.
No, but I have to admire the dedication. That is Angela level. I mean, yes. This is the thing. And this is why I don't think I could ever watch the show, because every single time you've shown me an example of this, I can't help but stand the catfisher.
Oh my God. Well, hold on a second. So hold on. First off, the reveal is that Carmen, the cousin, is Tony, and she did all of this. They were in a relationship for 3 years, by the way, and when I said it was phone only, what she would do is she would just drop her voice. She wasn't using like a vocalizer, nothing.
Beautiful.
She would drop her voice. She did it on camera. It was honestly very SNL coded. And she just said she was doing it out of revenge. But the thing is, like, a lot of these catfishers, once they're first exposed, that first confrontation, a lot of denial, a lot of they deserved it, I did nothing wrong, if you fell for me, that's on you. And then they have a moment of solace of like, you know, I do have some problems. I was bullied in high school. The thing about this person, though, Neve Schulman got so pissed at her for refusing to take any accountability that in a later scene, he's like confronting her and the producer had to step in and go, hey, let's take a break. Pull him outside.
Neve was having flashbacks. He was having Angela flashbacks.
Yes, pulling him outside in the snow. Hey, you can't do that. You need to stay on point. And like, it was such good television.
I don't know. There's the thing. I think there needs to be Catfish 2.0, but rather than focusing on the victims, we are celebrating these beautiful, beautiful scam artists who are pulling off such like the person to catfish the most people wins. Mr. Beast is obviously hosting. I mean, let's ruin lives, people.
Oh my God. Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Saturday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Candice Lim, and me, Kate Lindsay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, Mia Lobel is Slate's executive producer of podcasts, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
And not getting catfished.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu? Is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Your sausage McMuffin with egg didn't change. Your receipt did. The sausage McMuffin with egg extra value meal includes a hash brown and a small coffee for just $5. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Prices and participation may vary.